All right, welcome everybody. Yeah, today we're going to be doing an unboxing and setting up of the Epax E10. Now, I'm not 100% sure which Epax E10 I have. There are two versions out. There is a, normal one that kind of looks like an Anycubic. It's got a pop-off top and everything like that. And then there's also the one with the door and a hood on it. So it's actually just got a door that pops off. Now, judging by the weight of this thing, I'm hoping that it's the one with the door. And if so, that's really cool because that is something that I would actually prefer over the regular model. But either one, we're going to check them out and see how it is. So hopefully you guys have my audio on here. Let me go and check that before we get into things and make sure that we're doing okay on audio. Because on my side it looks good, but on your side it might not. So let's just verify that everything is good.
Audio.
Okay, yeah, we're good. Okay, so first off, let me go ahead and share this out before we do anything. And let's go ahead and post this. Okay, I think we're good on that side. All right, let's go to my group. We'll post it in here. Just give me a second, guys. I know this is kind of gerbled around here. Where are we? Alright, let's get that. Let's share this out. Let's go to copy. Okay, there's one up. There's two up. And let's put this in the Epax group, shall we? Alright, I think we're good now. I'm here. Let's do this. Alright, John. Let's get this started. Let me post one more and then we'll get it started, I swear. Let's go ahead and post this up in the group here. Send now. Although I probably should have posted that in whatever, but... All right. Can we pop this out? Pop out chat. There we go. That's a little better. Okay, sound works. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so yeah, let's let's tone this down a little bit because that's a little too large to have. All right. Okay. So I think you guys are still good here. Do I have to keep that open? I think we're okay. Can somebody just chat really quick? I just want to make sure that this is still working on this, and I don't have to have the YouTube open. Just type anything, hi, whatever it may be. Just want to make sure. Thumbs up, whatever it may be. Yeah, I think that's dead. So let's go back to the YouTube. We're going to pause that. We're going to take that out, and we're going to pop out chat. Okay. All right. So let's get on with it. So today, as I stated, we're checking out the Epax E10. Again, I'm not sure which version this is, if it's the pop-off top or the actual hood. But like I said, judging by the weight of this thing, because it is insanely heavy, I'm guessing it's going to be the heavier model. So hoping that's the case, because I really like the one with the assembled hood. With the door and the hood and everything like that. So I don't know what I did with my my Kniffenfluben, my knife, but we'll just use the good old screwdriver here to open this thing up. So let's get it all set up here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the one with the door, because I don't think the normal Epax is that heavy. Because if the normal Epax is this heavy, this is pretty heavy then. So yeah, this is not going to go too well. What's up, Jerry? Jerry's in the house, 3D printing and painting. Yeah, after talking with Epax for about, I'd say a year, trying to get a printer from them, they finally said yes, we'll go ahead and send you a printer and get it checked out. But not only did they send me the E10, they also sent me the E6 as well as some resin. So we also have some resin to check out here. If I can get this out of the box without destroying the other box, that would be nice. So right off the bat, already good packaging on their part. They make sure that this thing is packed very well. Goodness. All right, well, at least I got an extra box. So that's cool. We'll throw that into the sea of abyss of disasters. And let's put this one on the floor so we can get it out. Ugh. No real markings on it. It's just a blank box. Not the end of the world. I don't really need the box telling me what's inside here. Just share it on my group. Cool, thank you. I'm still trying to play around with the way that my camera setups are, because I'm not very happy with the way that they are. Like, I have some really nice cameras now, but it's just the fact that I don't know, it just doesn't seem as well. I don't know. Maybe it's just me being finicky about it. All right, so got some packaging here. Let's get this sectioned off. So it looks like it is the regular model. Wow, that's really heavy for a regular model. So it looks like they have not only foam but cardboard on top of here, just to make sure that everything is ready to rock and roll for you. Again, very good packaging on their part. So just a quick start guide for the E6 E10 series. It says, thanks for being Epax printer customer. Please read this quick start guide, our usual user manual. You can find the latest one online section of your website. So I guess they don't include a user manual. Really, there's not much to say in terms of a user manual when it comes to 3D printers, especially resin printers. But hey, you know, some people like that stuff. The printer is boxed with plenty of styrofoam to guard it. If you see any damages of the box printer, please take some photos of said damage for records. We recommend keeping the packaging material for some time in case you decide to return the machine for whatever reason. So I just wanted to touch base on that part right there. One of the things and why I've been trying to get an Epax printer from Epax is every single time I hear or someone talks about Epax printers in general, all I hear about is the amazing customer support that they have. Out of anything, any company that I've ever heard of, dealt with, whether it be from America, Canada, Europe, China, Japan, wherever it may be, that's all I hear about from people when they talk about Epax is number one, their customer service. They are fantastic people. So I just wanted to throw that out there before anything that we're doing in terms of setup here, that they have amazing customer service. So, all right, let's get this big bad boy out of here, if I can. Again, very well packaged. Whew, that is a big boy. All right, let's throw that into the abyss. Boxes. Really need to clean up my area here. Okay, so, wow, this thing is heavy duty. This is insane. Let's go ahead and take this down. Put that over there. So that's not in the way. Okay, so while this printer is a medium-sized printer, meaning that it's in the medium size with the Frozen Sonic Mighty, the Yellow Goose Saturn, which I will be doing a review on soon, the Saint Smart Kumitsu KL9, you know, things like that. Basically, any Calent style printer, which we got on unbox and do some videos of, but yeah. So even though this is a medium-sized printer, this is very, very hefty for a printer. So that's another thing I just want to throw out there, that this probably weighs, I want to say, at least 5 to 7 pounds more than any of my other printers. Now, with that being said, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That could be a very good thing, because you got to think, like, the Yellow Goose Saturn and the Sonic Mighty 4K, they're meant to be budget printers and very, very cheap printers. So, with that being said, you know, this might be a better quality printer all around, because while it is heavier, that means that there's more protection on it and less things that can go wrong with it in terms of transit. So, but yeah, just wanted to make you guys be aware that this is a hefty printer. I guess I could. Do you guys want me to weigh this and see what it is? I mean, I guess I could do a weight comparison after the fact, but yeah, it's insanely heavy compared. Like, this probably weighs just as much as my WeBox Lite 215, which that's a 10-inch printer, like 10-inch screen printer. It's a big boy, and it's probably double the size. So, but yeah, maybe we'll just do a weight comparison after the fact. Not something that's really needed. So again, it looks like it's nice and wrapped. I don't see any damages on it visibly. I really don't think there'll be any. But, alright. It probably says on its spec sheet. I personally don't care. Let's see here. 34 pounds. Yes, it does, actually. I should have just kept on reading. So the E6 is 22 pounds, which is the smaller one, which I do have an E6 as well. We're going to unbox that one tomorrow. It is right, well, it's just out of the shot, but actually, no, I'm sorry. It's right up here. It's right there. So yeah, I have an E6 as well. So yeah, the E6 is 22 pounds. This is 34 pounds. That seems not that heavy because the Elegoo Saturn came in at around that weight. So I don't know. That seems seems a little misleading to me, but I could be wrong. Maybe I'm thinking because no, I'm sorry. So the Saturn is 34 pounds with the entire packaging. So, all right. Let's see here. This is packaged very, very well. Would be nice if I had my knife wherever it may be. My wife probably took off with it somewhere, used it for something, or I left it somewhere I didn't know. Something, I'm sure. Yeah, sorry. So, yeah, it does have all the information here, and this is actually double-sided, so they have all the information that you need. So, unlike most printer manufacturers, they actually help you out very, very well, and they actually have, like, a step-by-step initial checks, like, check the light source. That's something, I'll be honest, I never ever do. I just usually go ahead and, set it up. What is pound? It's a freedom weight. I don't know if you've heard of it. Check the Z-axis movement and install the build plate. So, all right. So I know I kind of just jargled over all this stuff, but all of the accessories are packed in the styrofoam within the printer. Remove each foam layer starting from the top. Be careful when doing so. There are tools and parts in the foam. With the printer, you can find molded vat, that's one thing we will touch on for sure, because I know that's a hot topic for a lot of people, is that molded vat. I did take a look at this a little bit yesterday to see what's going on with it and how it's set up. So what's up, Chris? How's it going, man?
What up, Chris?
Okay, so we finally got this all set up and unboxed like that. So even though Epax is an American company, obviously it's very hard to find a cheap company to make printers. This does say made in China right there. You guys probably can't see it, but yeah. Hey, what's up, Matt? Alright, so I will say that they know how to pack this stuff. Good Lord. Like, this is tightly packed. Okay. Let's get that off. Alright. So now let's get this unboxed here. Really need to find my knife because this is detrimental to my streaming. Not that my streams are anything, to write home about anyway. But I think most of my streaming is this just being unboxed, which, again, it's not not exactly necessarily a bad thing, but still, it's kind of funny. All right, we're in the home stretch here, people. I swear, there's a printer here somewhere. All righty. Yeah, wow, that is a heavy boy. All right. All right, what do we got in the box? What's in the box? All right, so we have a knob. It's a single knob. Oh, build plate, duh. So single knob for a build plate. It's all right. My brain's working today. Obviously, our power cord. Ooh. So looking at this, I currently don't see a power brick. That doesn't mean... nope. I spoke too soon. All right, so here's our power brick. Standard, Chinese power brick, 24 volts at 5 amps. Nothing spectacular. What do we got here? We got some, these are actually like food grade gloves. They'll work, but that's kind of funny seeing that. All right, so we have a SanDisk branded USB stick. Now, I'll be honest, I don't think SanDisk makes those style USB sticks, but I could be wrong. So this is called a Cruiser Force. I don't think I've ever seen a Cruiser Force, but whatever. So we have a spatula, an Allen wrench, a SanDisk USB, which holds 16 gigs. That's good enough. And then we also have 4 little screws here. I'm guessing that's for the build plate. We also have some extra FET film. That's a really, really nice setup that they got there, this little tube, because most of the time when people include them, they're like on flat packs. And I'll be honest, I've ruined those flat packs all the time because I just move them around. Spatula, looks like it's nice and oiled. At least I hope that's oil. If not, then this is a used spatula which has resin on it. It's not the end of the world. I'm not going to, cry home. It's an interesting spatula. You can see the mold. This is like actual molded, obviously. Not the greatest, but it's a spatula that'll definitely work. You see that bezel on there? Like that. This is kind of strange. Like somebody burnt this. Whatever. It'll work. So I'm not really complaining too much about it. All right, so we have our ginormous build plate. So just for reference, here's my hand, here's the build plate. Okay, that's a pretty big build plate. So let's check its size. We're going to check it in freedom. So we're at pretty much like a 9 1/4 inch by 9 and a little past 5/8. I'm not a carpenter, so I don't know what is what. Or I'm sorry, 6 and... No, sorry, 5 and 5/8. Sorry. 5 and 5/8 and 9 1/4 is our build size. You're wrong. SanDisk do those USB sticks. Okay, I wasn't aware. So, yeah, I do have all the information here on Epax website of all the information and everything. So, can support screens between 8.9 and 10.1. So, that was one of the things I was interested in because, you call it an Epax E10. My thought is, okay, it supports a 10-inch screen, but this is an 8.9-inch printer. So, but apparently you can upgrade it. So, all 3D printing is in metric. Yes, it is. And to be in all honesty, I should really start learning metrics because, I work with 3D printers. So I really need to do that. So we do have a couple funnels, nothing special to write home about. One thing that I absolutely see everywhere is like these cobwebs, I guess. I don't know. They're strings. Whatever. It's all over the place. Could be from the packaging. Plastic, most likely. Because there's a lot of plastic everywhere. So, just initial look. It looks like this is plastic, but I think it's just plastic coated. where there's metal over it, or maybe it's like infused with metal, because it sounds kind of strange. Like this is injection molded plastic, and the reason why you can tell it's different than like manufactured injection molded is that it doesn't have like that really nice finish to it. Again, it's not the end of the world, but I know some people are kind of iffy about the whole plastic vat. Me personally, I don't really care. As long as it works, I'm perfectly fine with it. But again, I know Epax does a lot of research in terms of that stuff. So, I would definitely listen to them about that. So, taking a break from my keyboard build. Oh, nice. Hey, Chris. Thinking about getting the Anycubic Photon Mono as my first resin printer. I'll be honest, that's one of the ones I don't have. I'm working on it, but as of right now, I don't have any of the new Anycubic stuff. I actually just got rid of my last two photons, and yeah, I don't have any more Anycubic except for the wash and cure stations. All right, so that's a little strange. So one thing that I don't like personally is the knobs that come off. I really wish that these were attached to the screws, and that's more or less probably a personal preference out of anything, because I'm used to that style with all the other resin printers I have. But the downfall of having this style where they come off is that you can lose them in the vat. So that's kind of a big thing for me, is I don't want to be losing knobs in my resin and having to fish them out. But who knows? Maybe there's something that we can use to fix that and attach something different. So I just got the Mono X. Yeah, I saw that you just got one too, Jerry. So hoping that that's pretty good. I really need to finish cleaning up this area. Just work has been crazy hectic for me. So I've had these printers for a little while now, and I just haven't had time to hook them up. All right. Let's go ahead and face it this way so you guys can kind of see everything. And let's actually read the instructions that they give us. So unboxing we did, all the accessories, blah, blah, blah. So basically it wants us to do the light source check. So obviously we can't do that because, as you guys can see, it's all white. That's that means that they have a piece of paper under it so you can level it properly. And probably just to keep the screen protected as well. Let's see, there should be a power switch on the right. So I am noticing that there is a Ethernet port on the side here as well as USB. Oh, that's very loud. First off, turn off that. System. Nope. Where are we? There we go. Sorry, I don't like beeping. So we're going to turn that off right away. So there is network included on this. So we do have that ability. So let's go ahead and go to Tools, and we are going to raise up the Z. So as of right now, this is probably the quietest printer I have. I can barely hear it. Where does it say blah, blah, blah? I did not say blah, blah, blah. Sorry, I have kids. I watch Hotel Transylvania all the time, so. This is insanely quiet. One thing I wish that Sheet2Box would include on these printers, because obviously this is a Sheet2Box setup, is a 50 millimeter raise or lower. That's something that these need. Like my big WeBox printer has a 50 millimeter, and it's probably about similar size. It's just got a bigger plate, but height-wise, it's only 200 millimeters, and it's got 50 that you can just put up there, and it'll just raise up. Like That's one thing these printers definitely need. This software is more or less based on the smaller printers. So that's one thing I definitely think that Shitubox should put in a next update or something. Anyone hear anything about a release date for the Elegoo Jupiter? Been crickets since the announcement. That's pretty much how I have seen it. And personally, I think that Elegoo should hold off because as of right now, the Elegoo Saturn is still a disaster in terms of trying to get one. And it was a disaster for the pre-release. Like, nothing went well with that. I think they were underestimating the amount of people that they were going to get for that stuff. And it would be the same thing with the Elegoo Jupiter, just because they have a brand name and they have a name that's up there. So that's something that they should really look into, fixing and getting it right. So anyway, let's go ahead and check everything. Oh, this is really tight. So those screw posts are really, really tight. So yeah, this is basically injection molded. But I mean, in terms of the way that it looks, doesn't look too bad. I know obviously in the past with, Frozen being the first ones doing the injection molded stuff, that it was a disaster, but as far as I know, we have already come a long way in getting that all situated with the new printers. So already I like what they did. They didn't use cheap tape. They actually used like a nice vinyl surround, which that's one of the reasons why I got a Cricut. You guys can't see it, it's just out of shot. But I want to make more gaskets like this for all of our printers that we have here and get them out to you guys, because I personally don't like the whole tape look. I like it where it's one whole piece and it looks very nice, and that's what Epax did. So it does look like it has a glass like a protection over it, but it's kind of hard to tell with this gasket over it. It doesn't actually have like your phone protector on it. So but all right, so let's go ahead and do an exposure test. Next. Help if I hit the right button. Okay, so wow, those are pressed up really high to it. Okay, so our exposure test is good. And yes, for all you guys that are saying, "Oh my God, you're looking right into the light," you're not going to be killed for 15 seconds. Okay, it's not going to damage your retinas. It's the same thing like people telling you don't look at the sun. What does everybody do during an eclipse? They look at the sun. Okay, now granted, you can use glasses or whatever, but it's going to be minimal help. So, all right. So this one we're going to do a clean bat function. We're just going to make sure that it fully works, all of the LEDs. And we're going to do that for 15 seconds as well. So we have a full light setup. So we are good. One thing I do notice is that it is quite loud when it actually is printing. That's because that's due to this, a beefy fan here, and it sounds like there's another fan on the bottom as well. And these are big fans. These probably look like they're 50 millimeters, I'm guessing. I'll have to look inside there and take a gander, but that's my guess, is they're 50 millimeters. But everything looks good. There are, I guess, scratch marks on the screen, but it's nothing that's going to be like detrimental to me printing. So so as of right now, we're good. We're ready, set to rock and roll, and that's pretty much it. One thing I'm wondering is, what is this? Is that for like a holder so you could just put it on a wall there and drip it out? I wonder. I haven't really looked too much at these, but yeah, we'll have to see. Pretty solid stuff. Yeah, we can hear the fan when the light is on. Oh, I bet you could definitely hear it. Okay, so let's go to our next one. Check the Z-axis. We already did that because really they should switch these two to number one. Check the Z-axis movement, because if they're providing the sheet of paper, this actually feels lighter than this piece of paper. You're wanting to move this up and checking the light, but I guess you could also check the light while this is on there too. So that's one thing. You know what? Let's check that, because I know that was an issue with a lot of printers, especially the Elegoo Saturn, where you would check the light source and it would have light bleed through. So let's go ahead and do another exposure test and see how well it does with the light bleed, and see if there's any lines or anything on it. No, we're perfect. We're 100%. I don't know. You guys probably can't see that because it's all white. But there you go. There's no light bleed that I can see anywhere. I have a newer Elegoo Saturn, and it still has lines in the center, but it's a lot better than what it was when they first came out. So yeah, let's make sure we don't have to level anything. So let's see. Install the build plate. Adjust the Z so that it is at some position above the home position. From here, you can insert the arm through the build plate and screw it down to the knob screw. Jeez. The build plate should come pre-leveled from the factory. You can test the level by laying a piece of paper, half piece for E6, on the screen and pressing the home button to move. Tugging the paper basically should give some resistance, but not so much that it rips the paper when pulled. Yeah, so this is basically 3D printing in general. Anytime you're leveling a build plate or anything like that, that's what you want to do. One thing that is completely different than anybody else is how their build plate is. So I used to have a Nova 3D Elfin, and the build plate was almost identical to this. Obviously a smaller version, but it had the same type of like drip feature on it. Now, I will say that the only printer in my collection that has the best build plate is the Webox Lite 130, and that's because it's basically just a block. Like, there's no drip off. It's a block that goes up about this much off of the build plate, and nothing will ever go on top of that build plate, ever. Even if you overfill the vat, there's no way to get resin on the top of it. So you never have an issue where you need a dripping plate. You never do. It always drips off automatically. So it's very, very easy. I wish a lot of people did some more research on that and kind of copied that build plate, because that's probably the best build plate that I've seen. So so far, so good. Assembly seems like everything is pretty solid right now. So I haven't really had any complaints about anything so far, besides the little knobs. That's about my only gripe about this entire thing is the little knobs here. So actually, I'm putting this on wrong. Okay. Okay. So, setting up Sheet 2 box, we can go ahead and do that. I'm going to see if I can try and get this set up, because I am running OBS right now, so let's see if Sheet 2 box will play well with us and allow us to show how we can do this. But if anything, I think we're just going to go off of the USB disk and see what they got on there. Just kind of go from there. Let's see what they got for a test print. So let's see here. Do they even give us test prints, or do they actually want us to go in and get everything? Nope, they actually do not. So they don't provide any test prints. So basically go to Sheet 2 Box. I already have the E10 and the E6 set up on there. You can select your resin. So it looks like they already have resin set up. Start your first print. It is best to start with something small, simple, and has a flat bottom like a chess piece. This won't use a lot of resin, and you won't have to mess with supports if you aren't experienced yet. We recommend checking out the various 3D model websites on the internet, such as Thingiverse and My Mini Factory. The more comfortable you get with printing and the software, the more complex you can go. Also remember to not fill your vat too much with resin. Once the build plate goes in, the resin level will raise. So don't let it overflow. That is one thing I wish they added, was a fill line. That's something that a lot of manufacturers are doing with their printers. It's not a huge thing, but it'd just be nice to see that. Maybe I can create a sticker or something that has a fill line. Excuse me. Or maybe I can use my Dremel to, Dremel out a little bit. It's not something I really want to do, but if need be, I can engrave it at least. And that way we could get it all set up. So, important points. The most important pieces of the machine are the LCD screen and the tape that surrounds it. It is easy to break the screen and can be costly to replace. Absolutely. If you guys are not into resin printing, that is probably the most expensive piece that you can replace. Next would be the FEP, but that depends on what you're going with. Also, a side note to the FEP, Epax boasts this thing called NFEP, and it's supposed to be far superior than regular FEP. I'll be honest, I haven't really looked too much into it, but I hear people ranting and raving about it. That it's the greatest thing they've ever used. So, I have real high hopes for it. But, I mean, FEP is FEP. So, in my opinion, they work all the same. I personally do not use any additives on my screens ever. I properly calibrate my resin to the best of its printing abilities. And I will never ever need to use any type of additives like Rain-X or anything like that. You can use it if you want, but I just don't suggest it because it can add different properties to the resin, and that's not something you really want to do. So I can send you my last 3D design if you want to test a quick and cool print. Yeah, might as well. Let's do that. Let's do something a little off the wall. Let's do your print, Hibu. Do you have my email address? Or you're going to send it through Discord? Whatever it may be. Yeah, you know what? Just send it. I think you could send it through Discord, and I'll set it up here. So let me see if I can get, because I haven't set this up properly yet. So hopefully I can get Sheet 2 Box up here without an issue. But I'm not. So yeah, the thing is with additives, they are a wax material. So even though you wipe it off, it's still there in some way, shape, or form. So and just the chemical compounds of those tend to have problems with resins. So speaking of resins, Epax was nice enough to send us a box of resin as well. So we're gonna use their resins on this machine. I do have some new resins here that I'd like to show off as well, but I haven't been given the green light to show it off yet. And they are very, very special engineering style resins. So let's see what they sent us here. So we have, they sent us big boys. So we have some hard resin cool gray and hard resin cool gray. Cool. Really? Wasn't even that hard. So these might be 500s. I thought these were 1000s, but whee! Oh no, these are a kilogram. So one thing I will say, and it's not that I'm putting them down in any way, shape, or form, but just like filament, a lot of resin manufacturers you'll find are the same in terms of whatchamacallit, in terms of production. So a lot of people, you know, they see eSun or Sunlu. Those are pretty much the same company. eSun is like the marketing corner of Chinese filament. They make almost everything. And in fact, I really believe that they make hatchbox as well. And the only reason I say that is because eSun just announced their newer line and their newer style spools. And they look identical to like the Amazon Basics and the Hatchbox. So I believe that they might actually be behind Hatchbox. I could be wrong. I haven't really looked into it. It's just my conspiracy theory on that. So, but yeah. So let's grab this from Discord, from Hibu, and see if we can get this started up here. Where I don't see a message from you, Hibu. Oh, Discord update. Never mind. All right, so we'll just wait and talk a little bit more before we get to that. So yeah, this is just Epax hard resin. We're gonna save the other bottle for the E6, or we'll just save it in general. Manufacturing date is 12/20. Yeah, general advice: please wear gloves. Yeah, that's a mispronounce. I don't know if you guys can even read that. That's really small. But it's supposed to say clothing. It says chothing. Goggles. They actually had that. Respirators. So you guys are able to spell the word respirator, but not clothing. Anyway. Other protective clothing while using this product. I'll be honest, that's 90% of people will just be wearing what I'm wearing and not have a problem with it. Alright, you know, we'll just use their gloves because I will probably never use them ever again. Sorry the Discord update was long. That's fine. We can still do some things. I can set up and make sure that She2Box is all ready to rock and roll. Yeah, so if anybody's worked in the food industry, you guys know these gloves very well. So, again, they're gloves. They're not going to be anything like, oh my god, these are not going to be protective. Yeah, they'll be protective. But the downside is they probably rip really easily. But, yeah, these are used for food industry. So you got to think, like, people use these when handling chicken, salmonella and things like that. Like, these will work. Not saying, you know, pour resin all over you, but, you know, do what you got to do. And no, I did not pre-level the build plate. They said that it's pre-leveled, so we should be good to go. This is a ginormous vat. All right. I think that's good enough. About a little over a quarter of a bottle. Probably about 300 milliliters. With our... get them out of here. Ah, it's a proprietary. Ah. Got to make sure it's on a specific way. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your booty. Wallet micro SD holder. Oh, that's an interesting one. All right. So let's see. Let's see if She2Box is going to work for me or not. Let's go over here. Yeah, I kind of figured. So let me set this up really quick and make sure that She2Box is good. Nope, nope, nope. There we go. Now, unfortunately, with this, I don't have it set up to where it's like just showing the screen. So you might not be able to see like the settings because that's a pop-out window. So, anyway. I don't think it'll be too large. Like, this is a medium-sized printer, so this is pretty big. And if not, we can always angle it. I mean, it's not my prime use to angle stuff, but hey, we'll test it out and see how much we epic fail. Yeah, let's go ahead and switch this over to She2Box and see how it goes. Apparently I need to change my settings on this. Give me 1 second here, guys. There we go. Mucho gusto. Alright, let's go to Epax. Like I said, I don't think you guys are going to be able to see my settings screen. But we're just going to go to E10, and we're just going to look for hard and tough. Right, this is just a hard, Epax hard. Yeah, we're just going to use that. Okay, we have our information. So the exposure time on this resin is actually 3 seconds. That's kind of high, actually. And our bottom is 25. So that's actually a lot higher than I expected it to be. But anyway, let's go ahead and get some prints in here. We have various ones that we can use, but let's take a look here. We might actually be able to fit this. Ooh, I don't know if... this is the part that I'm worried about right here, is this hinge. But we'll see. We'll rotate it and see where we can go with it. Yeah, we're good. Okay. So yeah, this will be a simple, fast print. We might even be able to do this on a stream. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. Please let me know. It's a print-in-place design. Yeah, even though it's a print-in-place design, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work the way that it's intended to. But we shall see. Okay. So it looks like you guys can see this. Good. I'm still very new with this whole OBS stuff, so my apologies if I'm a little wonky about it. But let's get this sliced up. And so 3 seconds. Doesn't look like it's too many layers. It's not that high. And this should print pretty well. It's just the fact that how well is it going to print the sections for the SD card? Is it going to work very well? Like, what I mean is the actual, God, I can't, dimensional accuracy. Jeez, was drawing a blank there. So it looks like we're going to print this in 15 minutes. That's pretty quick. So it'd be nice if I put the SD card in there, huh? That would help. Okay. SanDisk Secure Access. What is that? Back up your files to the cloud. Whatever. All right. So let's go ahead and save, and we're gonna put this right on the main disk. Yeah, we'll leave the same thing. Okay, so 15 minutes to print this. That should be pretty good. It's a print-in-place design. It was the goal, finishing it before the end of the stream. Cool. Well, that's great. I'm always down for printing people's designs. All right, let's go ahead and hit print. Why am I not seeing it? There we go. Let's go ahead. So we do have quite a lot of fan movement here. And yeah, okay, so there's fans on each side. And again, it's either a 50 or a 60. I want to say it's 50 millimeter. So obviously you can upgrade those fans. Well, I don't really know if they're upgrades, but it's a really precise measure with no real margin. So that might be one issue that we come into because, well, the problem is, you know, we are printing with resin. So if anybody knows resin, the tolerances are quite different than FDM printing. And it could be even more harder to that. But we'll see how well this prints. So again, we are using the Sheet2Box stock settings. It does say that it's 3 seconds for the exposure time for this type of resin, which let's see here. Yeah, it doesn't really have any information on here for printing. And really, you know, in terms of stuff that's on bottles now, it's kind of useless because those specifications that people put on resin bottles are kind of useless now with the introduction of monochrome screens, because they're meant for RGB screens. So hopefully this comes out okay. We will hear a lot of popping because it is a build plate print, and it is a flat print. So you're going to hear a lot of suction. You're going to get a lot of suction. So it's possible it might fail because of that. But I'll be all honest, I've never ever had a print fail that was laying completely flat. I printed a lot of different things that were flat models, and I've never had an issue with that. And if I did have an issue, it's because I just hit print and go. I didn't even set up the resin, and so it was absolutely user fault. That's one thing I really, really like about resin printing compared to FDM printing is FDM printing, you can have 10 different things go wrong, and you can't figure out what is wrong with it because it can be 10 different things. And you can fix one thing, and it could be in tandem with another that needs a fix. So, like, your belt can be loose on this side, or your belt can be loose on this. Your hot end can be clogged. Your PTFE tube might not be all the way inserted. Your PTFE tube might not be all the way inserted in your extruder. Your extruder motor gear might be broken because they come with these crappy plastic ones. So it can be a ton of different things, whereas with resin printing, 99% of the time, if you're having an issue, it's going to be your fault. So that's one of the things that I absolutely love because it makes you learn what you are doing and making sure that you are doing everything properly, because if you're not, you're going to get a failure. And for those going back to, the additives that people use, like Rain-X on the FET film or PTFE solution on the FET film, you really don't need that. You don't. I don't really want to say that you shouldn't do it, because if it makes people feel safe, by all means go ahead and do it, but it's not something that's needed as long as you dial in the settings for this resin. With monochrome screens, it usually takes about 30 to 40 minutes to dial in settings, and for RGB screens, it usually takes an hour to an hour and a half, depending on how well you want to tune your resin settings. So I usually get them in a ballpark range. I don't fine-tune them. Like, take, for example, the Frozen Sonic Mini 4K. The test print that they have on there is insanely dialed in. So you are getting the best results that you possibly can with their resin. Like, when I mean it's dialed in so precise, so usually when I did like my video on how to do calibration settings on resin, I just dialed it into a 0.2 or a 0.5 setting, whereas Frozen, with their test prints on the Mini 4K, it was dialed down to like 1.6777778264829. Like, that's how precise that thing was dialed in. It was insane. I couldn't even imagine how much time you would spend to do that. But I mean, once you dial it in, oh my God, you will have the best and most amazing quality prints out of anything. So a lot of people think that resin has to do with the way that quality looks. And while that's partially true, a lot of it comes down to the way that it's printing, what your settings are for the print. So, you can have, let's take jewelry casting, okay? That's really, really high detail stuff most of the time. And compare it to an ABS or a bio resin even, where, it's just normal resin. It's not meant for high detail or anything like that. If you tune the settings for your PLA resin or your ABS-like resin, you should be able to get those settings to match almost identical to the way that casting resin will look if you properly tune it. Again, that might require you to fine-tune it, but you can get it down there. You can. You absolutely can. It just takes a long time. And people always, come back at me like, hey, tune your bottle of resin. Tune every bottle of resin. And again, I say that because, okay, take for example, I have this Epax hard resin that was manufactured in 12/2020, and the other one here says 12/7/2020. Let's see what the other box said. So these might have been on the same batch, but let's say they were even a day off. So like this one was 12/7/2020, the other one was 12/8/2020. The chemical compound might be different in this bottle of resin to the other bottle of resin. So while your, let's say, general settings, like I said, is 3 seconds for this, it's possible that you might be actually more in the range of a 3.1 or a 2.9 for each and every bottle. So it might vary a little bit. But most people are not going to tune it that finely because it takes so much time, and it really takes a lot of precise accuracy to do stuff like that. And I know I'm talking nonsense here to most of you guys, but that's really what it comes down to. Is you really don't need any additives if you properly tune your resin. It's something that I learned very quickly when I started doing this, because at the time nobody was talking about PTFE or like Rain-X or anything like that on your FET film. They just kind of went with the flow and just kind of found out the settings. That's why we had these resin exposure sheets, and then monochrome screens started happening, and that just kind of all flew out the window. And there's just settings all over the place. Nobody has an actual setting place. I was trying to make a master documentation for all printers. So basically, you copy the setup, and basically it would mimic what She2Box had, and you would input all your information in there and go from there, and you would see if that would work. And again, 3 seconds might work, but it's possible that this bottle of resin might need 2.9 seconds to be that much better or that much more detail. So while it is a lot easier than FDM printing, if you want the best quality out of it and you want those super fine details to come out, you really need to do a little bit extra on your part to fine tune your resin. So that's just my 2 cents on the whole subject. Again, I'm just as new to this as everybody else. I've been printing on and off for about a year now with resin printing, and so far it's been an amazing experience. It's been a major learning curve over FDM, especially in terms of like how you orientate pieces, how you do supports and things like that. It's very, very different because everything is flipped upside down. So the way that you are normally used to doing things on an FDM might not work on a resin printer. So it's a big learning curve, but I like it a lot better because when it comes down to it, when you are done printing, that print is pretty much finished. Very light sanding, some painting, and you're done. Everything is already detailed and ready to go. So Hibu, I had an issue with resin print, but long time after the print because those print was not cured. Exactly, and that's a lot of things that people don't understand is if you have prints that are sticking to the FET, there's two problems right there that I can see. One, is your print having enough support in the correct areas? And there's a couple programs that can help you do that, and actually She2Box, I think with the latest update, actually has like an island finder, and that's really the biggest thing that people didn't understand, and I didn't understand until a couple months ago when I started looking into like the Photon file validation matrix, and I actually was looking at Garrett Bertrand's YouTube video on that, and I was like, wow, this puts a whole new perspective on the way that I do supports and everything and how you're placing things, because just that one intricate support can make that entire print fail if it's not there. So, there's a lot of things that you got to learn. Two of the biggest things are resin settings and support. Another one you can throw in there for a third would be orientation, because obviously you don't want this thing popping every single time. You want to orientate your model So that way, A, there's no layer lines or minimal layer lines, and there's not that popping, because every time it pops, you're getting that layer line. There's too much suction on there. So for ceramics, when we do bath for coloring it, we must use the ceramic of one bath, else the color will slightly change and you will notice it. Absolutely, and that's something I'm starting to learn as well in terms of like washing. When I go to wash a print, take for example, I had two different prints for a customer. I had they wanted me to do a statue in white, and then they asked me to do a tornado in clear. And I was like, yeah, that's really, really cool. And I never thought about doing a tornado, and it came out really, really good. This is some Monicure clear tough. So there was an accident. I accidentally dropped it, and you guys might not be able to see that. But you see that line right there? Yeah, I cracked it. So, but the print's still intact, and all I did was just internally crack it. That's all. So, but it still looks cool. It's kind of hard to see in my ridiculous lighting setup, but yeah, I printed that. And I found out that, okay, I have a pre-wash now because of this situation exactly. But basically, I do a pre-wash where I'm just like kind of washing off all the excess resin that's still on the print. And then I actually go and wash it into my wash and cure station. And that way it'll get rid of everything else. And the reason for that is because I don't want to cloud up that wash and cure station and have all that denatured alcohol kind of mixed in with colors. So going back to the whole print, I did a white one and I did this clear one, and you can tell that with the pre-wash, that kind of like molded the white resin to it, all the stuff that I washed off. But thankfully the denatured alcohol like kind of gets rid of all that stuff. But with the IPA that I used to use, even the 99%, I had issues where, you know, the clear color would actually infuse the white resin that I had used before. So you got to be really, really careful on what you do. And I guess you could use, you know, pre-wash stations and have different colors. So, but I usually try and stick to, you know, 3 basic colors for the most part: clear, black, and gray. I rarely use white because it is so, I guess you could call abrasive when it comes to washing it, because it's a base color and it's very, very like toned, so it gets on everything. So you just got to be very careful when you're using specifically white. And I know you would think, oh well, black is the same way. Yeah, it kind of is, but for some reason white just really kills everything. If you have a gray color that you're washing, a black color, white will just overpower it for some reason, and it's very strange. Maybe because it's the base color for every color that it just does that, but that's just my experience in it, so we'll see. So we're at 76%, so we're getting pretty close. I've only heard a little bit of popping so far at the beginning, that's understandable because the base layers. Speaking of that, what was base layers? I think that was 25 on this. So the base layer, so we're printing at 0.5. That's normally what I print at. I don't really print in anything higher detail unless a customer requests it, because I'll be honest, 0.5 is more than better than any FDM will produce stock for stock. So you really have to... You really have to fine-tune an FDM in order to get to a resin-type quality. While you can get something that looks close to a resin quality, when you look at it, even with your untrained eye, you can see, all right, there's layer lines on it and things like that. So, but again, that also goes back to, are you supporting it properly? Are you angling it properly? Because even a resin print can turn out just as good as an FDM print if you're not properly supporting it or really angling it properly. So yeah. What did I do? Wow, I put those gloves over here. So yeah, I know I'm talking a lot. So if you guys got any questions, go ahead and throw them out. I'm just kind of sit here chit-chatting. Well, I'm not really chit-chatting. I'm just speaking to y'all. So, if you guys aren't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. We got some more videos coming up, and we will be doing more noob-friendly videos on how to get started with resin printing, how to get started with FDM printing. We're going to do a lot more videos on that, so we can basically help. My community is the 3D Printing for Noobs group, so that's one thing that I try and strive to help out with. But you know, while we're on the topic of the Epax E10, let's go ahead and look at some specs here. So just going off of their website, as of right now, it is $699 US. Obviously, that is not shipping included. So, you know, judging by the way that shipping prices are, I would guess it's probably going to be another $50 to $60, depending on where you are, to have this shipped, just because of the weight. That's 34 pounds, and I think 45 with the box and everything together. Again, fantastic job on packaging. They've done an amazing job with packaging. So let's just go through some of the features here. So features of the E10 3D LCD printer: high quality dual linear rails and a lead screw. So a lead screw is just your normal old lead screw. There's nothing spectacular. It's not beefy or anything. But I have noticed that it is very straight compared to most of the other ones that I've used. Usually there's some wobble a little bit here and there. I have yet to see any. The dual linear rails are pretty much the same that everybody else uses. So that's nothing spectacular to write home about, but it is a dual linear rail, so that does provide more support for when you're printing. High quality latest parallel light, which this does have a little different setup compared to most of the other printers. So take, for example, like the Elegoo Saturn. Elegoo Saturn has an LED light that sits about, you know, yay high on the bottom of the printer, and then it has a diffuser, and it's a matrix diffuser. So basically it evens out the lights. It's basically a bunch of bubbles, like eyeglasses, convex lenses to be specific. And basically it pops that out, and it's right above the LED. That's great, but it can cause some issues. Like I said, there's a line here and a line here on my Elegoo Saturn. So if I do big prints, I'm going to expect to see those lines show up, because while it is a faint line, it is still a line, and you will be able to see that if you actually look for it. So, but obviously you can clean that up with some sanding and whatnot. So, but this is a little different because, well, it has, looks like we have some failure. Yeah, I don't know. That's a weird one. Anyway, so this one has the LED matrix right here. So it looks like it printed, but it didn't. So one thing I will say already, you guys can probably see that there's resin sticking to the hood. That's an issue, especially with these new models that are coming out, because they are very staticky. So some Static Guard or Static X, not Static X, that's a band. Static Guard will help you to get that off of there and keep your hood in a nice condition. I'll be honest, I've never had a hood actually be in good condition after I've used it, so I'm not really too worried about stuff being on the hood there. So yeah, so let's see. Versatile screen options can support screens between 8.9 and a 10.1. The E10 uses an 8.9 4K mono screen, a standard screen. It is capable of using the upcoming 10.1 5K mono screen, compatible 5K mainboard, and screen mounting bracket needed to support the 5K screen, which that's one of the things that I think sets this printer above anybody else that's on the market currently. While it is a little bit more pricier at about $100 more than the competition, or almost close to $200 more depending on who you're looking at, you do have the ability to upgrade to a 5K mono screen in the future, and that's a bigger screen. So also while you're paying for $700 right here, and let's say even if the 10-inch screen upgrade is $400, let's just give it that, you're still within a 10-inch screen price range, because I have a 10-inch screen Wii box over there, and I paid about $1,100, and that's when it was starting to come down. I think you could still get them for about $800-900, so that still puts this printer in that $800-900 range when it all is said and done, $1,000. But I mean, you're getting a 5K screen, which actually means that it's a true 4K printer. Now, I know what you're going to say, like, well, that doesn't make any sense because it's 5K. 5K will be, because of the expanding of the LCD screen, it will actually lose its resolution because of the expansion. So while a 10-inch 5K screen, it will actually come down to be close to a 4K or maybe even a little bit less in terms of the pixel per square inch type thing. So this is a whole issue with, you know, people thinking that, hey, I have an Elegoo Saturn and it's a 4K resin printer. Yes and no. When it comes down to it, and you look at the PPI between Elegoo Saturn or even a Anycubic Mono X, both of those printers, while they're 4K, if you look at the specifications for the 2K monochrome printers, they come out a little bit more on the smaller 2K terms of pixels per square inch. So you actually get a little better quality detail on the smaller printers than you do like the 4K printer. So holy boxes, Batman. Yeah, my basement is a disaster right now. I'm in the process of moving everything, and I haven't had time to do anything. So all these printers are mostly Amazon returns, and there's probably about another 20 in the other room that are just like printers that need to be reviewed. And I actually got another printer, which I set right there. That's a new folding printer that just came out. So yeah, I'm pretty busy in terms of printer reviews and things like that. So yeah, it looks like we did fail a little bit. I don't exactly know what happened. It's a very strange failure, so I'll show you guys in a second. Did I move? No, I moved my desk. So originally I used to be out of that corner, okay, and I had my printers where these printers are. So my printers are now here, and I have a longer desk. So I have 3 IKEA desks all mixed together here. So I more or less moved my setup right now. But no, I did not move. I have kids. That's what it is. So, and on top of it, the basement is just like nobody's gonna see it, out of sight, out of mind. It's gonna throw down here. So, but yeah, I haven't had free time to get down here and actually clean up everything and put everything the way that it's meant to be back. But yeah, the treadmill, we're definitely gonna start using treadmill. Because I need to lose some weight. The taco belly is getting a little big. So, all right, let's take a gander at this and see what happened. I'm guessing exposure settings. We shall see. So, in terms of smell, it is a little harder than normal. So, or a little heavier, I should say, not harder. Lay off the tacos, fatty. I can't. The tacos love me too much. So we'll let this trip a little bit. I mean, for the most part, it did print, but I don't know if it printed the way that it's intended to, so we'll have to see. I have to get some paper towels and set them down here. So here, I'll let you guys kind of see it. So it looks like the edges came off a little bit on the sides here. They didn't, on the cover, it looks like it didn't print very well. So it's definitely, it might be underexposing a little, which that's strange. At 3 seconds, that's pretty high already for resin on a monochrome screen. But we can do a test print and verify. That's really what we should have done as a test print. But I mean, technically this is a test print too, so not the end of the world. And yes, Tim, I am planning on coming out there one of these days if I get some free time and helping you set up everything with your resin stuff. So pretty much at the end of May, or maybe even at the beginning of May, I will probably not have a job anymore. So I'm not planning on it. They haven't really said anything. So as of right now, our warehouse, while still open, the company that I provide service for is leaving us, and basically I'm in charge of moving out 200,000 square feet of warehouse in the next month or two, and that's going to be a big project, so I'm going to be pretty busy the next month. And then on top of it, my third shift lead decided to put in his 2 weeks notice, and his last day was Friday, so that leaves me pretty much the only person taking care of second and third shift. So I'm going in a little bit later now and staying a little bit later, well, early, and yeah, basically going from there. So yeah, we'll have to see. I know a lot of people are talking to me about, possibly going into business for myself and doing printing and services and things like that, but it's not really in the cards right now. It's something I can definitely do for sure, but it's not financially in the cards as of right now. Not at least financially stable to do that. So I'm just more or less gonna fix these printers, sell them as I need, and basically go from there, and probably just do that over and over. I usually do that, like I'll buy some resin here and there, sell them at a cheaper price for you guys, get them out there. Same thing with printers, buy Amazon returns, fix them up, make sure they're working, and sell them for a cheaper price to you. So you get a same printer, but at least it's had a once over for everyone to know that it's actually working by the time they get it. So if there's any problems, well, then you probably caused a problem, to be in all honesty. So, but yeah, that's where I'm sticking to right now, and we'll have to see. But yeah, as of right now, this print looks like it might have just failed on 2 parts. So it might just be a leveling issue. We'll have to see about that. Maybe there's something in the vat, or maybe there was something in the resin. I have had that issue before, usually with Elegoo resins, which this is a similar style bottle to the Elegoo resins, so they could be made by the same manufacturer. But Elegoo resins, the last 3 bottles I've had of Elegoo, and it's been a while since I've used them, I had to filter the resin because there was dried resin inside of them. So that wasn't too fun. Killed the printer and killed the prints, and yeah, that was not fun. So yeah. But yeah, I think Heboo, it turned out okay for the most part, but there is a little bit that didn't print very well. So where is my stuff? Let me go grab some paper towels. Oh God, I'm dead. Oh, you got me. And let's grab our spatulas. My disaster of a work area. Your resin printers are all still disconnected, huh? Yeah. A lot of people do that. I mean, you're more of an FDM guy, so it's not... I'm not going to be like, oh my God, what are you doing? But I mean, you can print some cool stuff like this, like a tornado. Like, that's pretty cool. You can't really see it because it's clear, but I mean, that's pretty awesome, man. It's a really cool print. I dig it. So yeah, let's go ahead and put this down, and we'll get this off of the bill plate and take a look at it. In terms of smell, the Epax hard resin, it is a little bit harder smelling than most of the resins that I use. Obviously so, because it is a hard resin, so it does have a hardener in it. So I've been having issues with my Photon lately. Anytime I try to print anything that isn't directly in the center of the bed, it pulls away and fails. But if it's one or maybe two parts in the middle, it prints fine. Any idea on what that might be? Hebrew, it might be bed leveling. I'm not sure, unless you're referring to Nate. I'm guessing it's going to be a bed leveling issue, and the only way to confirm that is to take a sheet of paper and cut it into halves and level each side. So have two separate sheets of paper. Put the build plate down, level it, and then pull out and see if one side is more gibby than the other. Because that's a big issue with those like spring-loaded plates, if that's the Photon that you're talking about, the one with the blue build plate. And if it is, well, then you have a warped build plate. And really, there's two ways you can go about that. You can contact Anycubic for a new plate, or you can go the route of a flex plate and see if that'll help. I'm not a big fan of the flex plates because they're just not more efficient, in my opinion. In some ways they are, in a lot of ways they aren't. I do a lot of small stuff, so they're not. If you do bigger prints, absolutely, 100%. But the downfall of that is they can fail because the magnets tend to lose I'm going to try and say this, magneticity over time. So I've leveled the bed countless times, changed the fab, changed the resin. So another thing, so there's two things on failed prints that automatically come to mind, okay? Bed leveling and resin exposure time. You got to make sure that you have the correct exposure times for it. So you tested one of the magnetic plates, they failed. Yeah, see, and I had one on my I had a Wham Bam flex plate that was sent to me, and I put it on my Creality LDR at the time, and it worked for about 2 or 3 prints, and then the fourth one, it failed. It slid right off. So I was like, okay, the reason for that is because there was resin in between the plate and the magnetic sheet, and basically it just became a liquidy, slip and slide. And that's basically what happened, because you got to understand there's peel force. So that's really the biggest issue with flex plates and resin, is in between that. The other thing is, a lot of times with these wash and cure stations, people just take their build plates and put them in there, and they have the flex plates on there. Well, the problem is when you introduce IPA to adhesions products, what do you use to remove adhesion products? Goo Gone, which has isopropyl alcohol in it, okay? And sometimes people just use isopropyl alcohol to remove, stickers or sticky stuff. So you got to think, okay, if you're putting that stuff directly in there and it's getting in between the build plate and that sticky part, well, guess what? It's going to fail at some point. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not a week from now, maybe not a month from now, but it will fail. And it will fail quicker than most people. So, Wham uses the same supplier that we get our stuff from, which is what we tested. Yeah, and I can't verify what Wham uses because their adhesion sticker is blank. So, but I do have like Creality's one. Oh my god, that is god awful. You can tell right away, just taking it out of the package, you're like, the magnetic sheet is super thin and the adhesion is just garbage on it. You can just tell it's going to be a bad product from the get-go. So at least out of anything, if you are going to get a flex plate, Wham Bam probably does have a little better adhesion style product, but for the most part they're all the same. So I found a spreadsheet online that had recommended settings for a ton of different resins, and that's what I was using as a base for my settings. Exactly that word. Using it for a baseline. Okay, so you set off, do a baseline run, do a print, do a test print, do a resin exposure test. I do have a video on my channel, so if you want to look for that, there is a video on that, and it has a link to download the resin exposure test. So you can grab that, do an exposure test, do it at that baseline run, then do one 1 second below and 1 second above, adding on 1 second, I mean, and basically print and see which one is better, and then tune from there. Takes about an hour to tune a bottle of resin on an RGB screen, and about 40 minutes to tune it on a monochrome screen. So that's pretty much it. All right, let's go ahead and take a look and see. Let's see how well this this scraper is. That's, you know, charred and burned, and, you know, surprisingly looks like it's pretty light. But let's see if it can get underneath there. Oh, that's a nice spatula. Ooh, I like that already. I can tell this is already underexposed. It's super brittle, or not brittle, like flexible. I can tell already. So we're going to run a test print on this, so let's go ahead and do that. And I'm not going to leave you guys hanging here for a while. I'm just going to do a test print, and that'll be pretty much it, because I got to get jetting here to work in about half hour. So we're going to end the stream then anyway. All right, so let's go ahead and click on Sheet 2 box again. What is going on here? Oh, there we go. Okay, so we're going to go back and we're going to delete this, and we're going to put on our exposure test. 3D objects, test prints. Can't use that one. That's a special one. Nobody else has. That's from a specific manufacturer. So this is a test print. This basically, like, we're going to throw this on here, slice it up, 7 minutes, okay? So we'll know what it looks like when we do a test print here. And you guys can learn. How about that? Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. So let's go to main camera again. All right. Solvol. Yeah. Solvol, you know what's funny? I kind of find that Solvol's like what Creality should have been. That's my opinion on Solvol. All right, let's do a test print and see where we go from there. Okay. Yes, I am on TikTok. Yes, sir. I'm everywhere. I'm all in the interwebs. What is my day job? I work for UPS Logistics. No, it is not the UPS that everybody thinks of, which is UPS Brown. I work for the logistics side. I supply logistics for companies like Pepsi or Coca-Cola, you know, large corporations, and we deal with their logistics so they don't have to. They send us the products, we send them out to the customers. It's basically it. We're kind of like a Amazon warehouse. That's kind of the best way that I can describe it. Low-key Amazon, in a way. So yeah, I work for a medical industry, and basically they're pulling out of all of UPS, and they got a new contract with another company, and I'm in charge of moving all that stuff out. So with that being said, there's no other supervisor positions, which that's what I am, in the warehouse as of right now. Now that may change in the next month or so, but as of right now, I see my job out of anybody's being non-existent after the fact. So yeah. Let's see. I know resin is more brutal than FDM PLA, so it's a good surprise. Yeah. So here, I'll try and get this set up here for you. But basically, you see that? So everything else looks like it printed fine, but that side, it's like there's anomalies in here. But yeah, basically, like you can see that it pulled away from the ledging. But it's weird because all the other ledging is fine. This is a very thin, like, card holder. And as for print in place, that's the downside, is because of the main layer, it'll adhere it together. So so this would definitely need supports to print the way that it's intended. You can just raise it up and it'll be fine. It'll print the way that it's intended. You just might have to angle it a little bit so you get that drip off. So, but that could also be the reason why it failed too, because we are printing this just like this, and that peel force is peeling away the edges too. So that's why we're just doing a test print, just to verify that that 3 seconds is actually good, because that seems quite a lot for a monochrome screen, but I could be wrong. So aren't you a little too old for that? Actually, my generation pretty much took over that app. So but yeah, I mean, I'm too old for a lot of things, but yet still I still do them. You know, I still rollerblade. I'm definitely way too old for that, but I still do it. So yeah, what can Brown do for you? Definitely not get you your package. The axis of the print work? No, it didn't work. I've worked logistics before, not a bad gig. It has its ups and downs. It's a lot of workhorse stuff. So, shouldn't you put the top on there so you don't cure the resin? So, here's one thing you got to understand, okay? Depending on what lights you have, you can cure resin. This is a hard resin that is gray in color. So, the chances of this LED light curing it from this distance is very, very slim. Now, if it was closer where I used to have it like right up above here, and if it was clear resin, it would definitely cure it, 100%. But with it being on here, no. Like, all my printers over there, I rarely have the covers on them, so it's just easier. But I can put the cover on. Just, I'm lazy right now. Yes, and I did one even thinnest than this one. Okay. Do you have a video on resin bed leveling? There are so many out there that it's hard to know which way to go with. You know, I don't remember if I actually published one. You'll have to look in my videos. If I did, it was an older one. Maybe I did one for Elegoo. I want to say I did do one when I had my Elegoo Mars. I do have one. Yeah, so there's one for the Elegoo Mars, which that's pretty much going to be the standard for most of the resin printers out there. Just a little differently, because like this one, you see there's 2 screws and 2 screws on this side. Okay, so that's the only difference between the Elegoo and the older Anycubics, is they had spring-loaded plates. So you would just unscrew one screw and it would unlock the build plate and push it down. And it would swivel, which that's one of the reasons why I hate those style leveling. I prefer the 4 ways, in my opinion. Here, just so you know, you don't get triggered by it. That hood's already destroyed. So anyway, but yes, I do have a bed leveling video, because I remember seeing it the other day, the cheesy photo that I made for it. I had a level and the whole picture was tilted. So, but actually, no, I'm sorry. That's for true bed leveling. It's not for bed leveling. I don't think I did an actual bed leveling. I'll have to look through that. If not, I can do one probably today, tonight or tomorrow, and get one set up for you guys. It's pretty simple, straightforward. I mean, I can tell you right here. So you take a sheet of paper, you remove the vat. Make sure your build plate is completely clean of all resins. So clean it as best as you can. Take off your vat. Raise your bed plate, high up so you can remove the vat. Put a sheet of paper down. In your case, slice the paper down the middle so you have 2 sheets of paper, so you could have one on each side. And then unscrew your build plate. If it's a 4-way, unscrew the 4 screws so it drops down. If it's a single screw, just unscrew the center and let it drop down. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Then press the home button. Okay? Once it homes, it'll squish those pieces of paper. And then what you're going to do is you are going to screw that screw back in, or the 4 screws. You're going to screw them in. Okay? But you're going to want to keep compression on it while you're screwing it down. So take your fingers, take a V, or do the rocker, and press it down, and then screw it in with the other hand, okay? So you want to keep some pressure down there. Then check if it moves. If it still moves a little bit, go into your Z-axis and move it 0.1 down. until it squishes a little bit. You want it to be able to pull out the pieces of paper. And once it's good, then you're going to go and look into your menu for set Z offset or Z height, whatever it is on your printer, and press that. And it'll say, like, do you want to reset your 0? Hit OK. Now, go ahead and remove those sheets of paper, like erase the Z, remove the sheets of paper, put your stuff on, and do a test print, and go from there. That's the best way to figure out if your stuff is level or not. So, all right, so we're almost done here. Yeah, we're going to be finishing up here. I'm going to show you guys the test print, and then we're going to hit the road, and we're going to do some more printing. I'm going to put a print on this as long as this is good, and we're basically going to go from there, and I'll put out some photos and videos of things of it printing, but I'm not sure what I should print. I got to find out what I need to print. You know what? I grabbed a handful of test prints, which I can do and show you guys here. So let's go back to Sheet2Box. Sheet2Box. All right, and then we're gonna go to, I think it's in downloads. I don't think I put it in a folder yet. So I grabbed a handful of prints for testing. This is just normal stuff. Oh, there it is. I did put it in there. Here, let's go. Nope, I don't want that. I want to do large icons. So I basically did a handful of different test prints that I'm going to use. One of them being a 2020 extrusion rail. This is going to be for force impact of resins. So that way we can find out how well a resin can be when it comes to impacts. Then we're going to do something for like design, minor designs here, which is kind of a cool dice because it's like 8-bit video gaming dice. It's really, really cool. Obviously, we'll have to properly get this all set up and supported. And then we're going to do, something with a little higher detail. This pumpkin head. And we can do a hollow version if we want. This one I think is solid. So some supports are going to use that. But we're going to look at stuff like this where it's, pitted and things like that. All these fine details, we're going to use that for fine detail exposure. Then we're going to see about flexibility. We're going to use the Steampunctopus, which I have one of these guys hanging on my my monitor right now. And these guys are really, really cool to print. This one's actually kind of a larger size. This is big. I didn't expect it to be that big, so that's what she said. And then what do we got here? I gotta see what we got. Oh, this one. This one is going to be my piece de resistance, or whatever you want to call it. This print looks awesome. Look at this print. This print is friggin' awesome. I cannot wait to print this because these like spiky hairs are going to come out so awesome on this model. I cannot wait to print this model and see how it comes out. It's going to be a difficult model for sure. And we will probably have to do some major tuning to get it right. I'm probably going to have at least 4 or 5 failures on this print. I know already. But if it comes out in the first shot, I'm going to be happy. But this is going to be one that's going to be really, really awesome. I just kind of found it, out of the blue. So, but yeah, really, really cool print. Cannot wait. Let's see. Do I have... thanks for the explanation. I don't think I've ever held the plate down while tightening the set screw for the build plate. I'll be honest, it's not something you really, really need to do, but because you can use the Z to bring it down a little closer. But that's something you want to do just to make sure that it's already set closest to the piece of paper. So print the torture toaster. So the torture toaster is meant for FDM actually, and I know that's a big thing. Like that's my buddy Jim from the Hot Makes. He had that print, and that's his big thing right now. But the problem is the torture toaster, like I said, is meant for FDM use. It's not meant for resin. Not saying that it won't be able to print on resin, but the way that it's done, I don't think that resin will do it, because you got to think this is a liquid substance it's printing from, and not a solid substance to a liquid. It's a different way that it processes, so I don't see that being a possibility. I have yet to find a resin torture test, though. Maybe I should look that up. Let's look it up on Thingiverse real quick. Let's see if there is something on here. Thingiverse. Resin. Well, I guess I kind of do have a torture test. This is pretty much what I have already. Let's see if I can get you guys looking at this. Yeah, so this is basically a resin torture test, and I already have something like this from a manufacturer, so this is pretty close. But this is about the best you get when it comes to torture tests. Like, even something like this is more for FDM. Will it work for resin? You know, that's a really good question. It probably will. And it'll tell me the ability on how much angle it will be able to take for the overhang. So that might actually be really cool. I don't think anybody's actually ever done this on resin. So maybe that's a possibility as well. You know, we can go ahead and set that up. So, oh, what's up, Vincent? How's it going, man? I tried several print and place models similar to the toaster, and they always end up welded together. So if something's welded together and it's meant to be moving parts, to be in all honesty, they're with resin it's very hard to do stuff like that, but you can do it. Take, for example, let me show you stuff that's print in place. So here's one. This was off of my Nova 3D, and this is actually one of their test prints, and it's a little steampunctopus, like I said. This is a little tiny guy, and when I saw this on a test print from a company, I was like, there's no way. There's no way that it can do this. There's no way that it can do the flexible arms. There's no way. And I printed it, and I'm like, you know what? Let's try it out. Use their green resin. And, you know, talking about resin curing, yeah, that light that's above me, I had this in a cup, and it cured while I was sitting here, and I was like, what? And that's how I found out that even though you don't have a UV light, LED lights, depending on how much Kelvins are being output, it can still cure resin. So, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, these are really cool, and this one actually did not break anything. The second one I did actually broke one of the legs, but this guy is fully intact. I dropped him a couple times, and he's still good. So, yeah, I was very, very surprised about that. Now, granted, though, that printer is on a whole different level than most of the printers you'll see out there. So, there is something going on here. So, there's a little driplet on here, and I don't know why it's doing that. There's got to be something with the resin. Is there something on the FET film? Don't tell me there's a protective coating on the FET. Nope. Yeah. It might just be there's something up with this resin. Oh, talking about on your Ender 3 printers. Well, I'll be honest, it's because it's an Ender 3. I can't really say anything about that. Same thing happened with this printer. So I designed a new rack for my wires, which you can see right here. And I designed it with X tolerances. I think it was 0.5 tolerance and 0.5 over. So usually the filament says 0.2 or somewhere around there, and yeah, it came out almost at 0.0. So that 0.5, yeah, it almost closed all of my distances. So I was pretty spot on, but I mean, that's close for comfort. And these printers, to be in all honesty, are just, they're meant to just print. They're not meant to be dimensionally accurate in any way out of the box. They're just meant to print. So it's a cat. Where is the cat? Is she running around here somewhere? That's usually her like play area is up here. So, but yeah. So like these things I printed at 200%, and they're probably actually like 210% that came out in terms of size. But this printer, which is basically an upgraded Ender 3, is a Creality CR6 SE, and yeah, that's probably one of the better Creality printers I've had the ability to use. So, but yeah, there's something up with maybe the resin or something in the back, because here's another piece that has like something stuck to it almost. It might be that the lift distance is too fast on this. We might have to tone it down a little bit, because that was an issue with like the Elegoo Saturn, is that it was boasting this insane print time because the lift speed was so high and jacked up. And then when people started getting their printers, they were like, yeah, it's great. And then they started having issues because, you know, when they went to something that was smaller, the lift speed was too fast, and it would literally start ripping away the FEP and ripping their prints away from it. So, yeah. I did shake. I shook it. You saw it. Shake, shake, shake. But I mean, even here, you can see that there's like a little piece there. You see that right off the side here? That's part of the edge that it's supposed to print at. So we're gonna try and get this all off here and see if we can utilize and see what's going on here. So you know, I kind of, you know, was talking down about this this spatula, but this spatula is amazing. I want more of them already. Like, that's probably the best spatula I've ever used for resin printers. Well, the spatula in general. I usually use this razor blade. I'll take it off a little bit, and then I'll use the scraper to get the rest of it. But yeah, let's see if we could get some information about this and see if this is over or under or what's going on with it. Let me go and wash this really quick. I'll be right back. Refiltering the resin, yeah, it's a possibility we might have to do that. So, but in either way, we're gonna end the stream. So as of right now, you know, I can't really say much about it. So far, the prints that we've had have had some issues. I don't know if that's a machine issue. Everything looks good in terms of the LED, the VAT, the build plate. Everything like that is good. The leveling is good, you can see. Poor PS3. Yeah, that's actually going on the wall. So my son was just playing with it the other day. That's why it's on the floor. But as I can see this, we are under a little bit. Actually, we're under a lot. So, case in point, Nate, you were talking about baseline. Okay, so in sheet 2 box, it says 3 seconds and 25 for the bottom on this Epax. Well, I can see right here that it's underexposing. And how can I tell that? Look at that. There's supposed to be lines on the upper side here, on each side, that are supposed to be coming in, and they're not. Now everything else is defining, and that's good. But it looks like we're underexposing just a tad here. So we might have to adjust that up to like 3.5. It's a possibility. We'll have to go through some checks and see, because everything else looks good on this end. That's a tough call because, yeah, we might have to do a level test on that build plate. It's a possibility. Not ruling it out, but the only way to know for sure is to print a block. A block will tell me right away if it's leveled or not, even without me doing anything. So if I go and set up something in whatchamacallit, in Tinkercad, and I do like something like this, and I make a solid piece, and if one side is warped or not, or it's warped in one section, then I'll know right away that there's an issue with the bed warping and it's not sitting flat. I will know right away. But yeah, that's a hard one to determine, and it's not something I've ever come across, to be in all honesty. Out of the 40 some odd printers that I've had, resin printers, yeah, I have not come across a warped build plate, but it looks like we might be experiencing something like that. So anyway, I have to run, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. We will be doing another one tomorrow of the E6, which is the smaller version of this. Tonight I'm going to have to run through some things and see if there's an issue with the build plate itself, or if it's just a problem with the test prints, or just an exposure setting. We're going to set another one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold up. She died. It just died. Hold up. Something's not right here. I have no power. What's going on here? Oh, that's my fault. Yeah, I have a feeling it might be a resin problem. So I'm gonna do another test print. I'm actually gonna put 2 on the build plate. And we're gonna do a second above, which is really, really high for a monochrome screen at 4 seconds. That's really high. All my other printers are like, if you touch 2.5 seconds with a mono printer on any of my other ones, like, that's really high. Even though this is a hard resin, even for like my engineering resins, that's high. Like 3.5 is the highest I've ever used, and that's an engineering resin, so it's on a whole different level. Like usually that's like 16 seconds on a normal printer. So I don't know. We'll have to play around with this and see what's going on. But yeah, let's go ahead and get this set up. I'm going to say it's a resin problem. I'm with you on that, Hibu, and I'll know right away once I do some more testing with the test prints, because that'll tell me if I'm under or overexposing, and it's at 3 seconds right now. So here, let me show you guys exactly how this is supposed to look like. All right, let me go to OBS here. Let's go to Sheet 2 Box. So I just want to show you guys, this is what it's supposed to look like, okay? So we're missing lines like all right from here to here and here to here. All these top lines we're missing. And we're already at 3 seconds. Now, it looks good in terms of like how these are positioned, because these are supposed to like slot right into each other, okay? And this looks good too. This is one of the main components, is this center piece. Right here where these connect. That looks pretty good. maybe a little bit less connection, but it shouldn't be to the point where it's like that different. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to settings here. We're going to do 3.5 on this. And it shouldn't be that like the resin's cold or anything. It's been in the basement for a while, and I usually keep my place pretty toasty. So let's go ahead and do a 3.5 second and see how that does. And that'll tell me right away what's going on here. So we'll label this as 3.5. We'll save it. And then we'll do one at 2.5. Because let's see, it's got hard and tough resin. That's at 2 seconds. I have a feeling something's off here. So let's go ahead and do 2 seconds. We'll do that one too. And I'll just set these off. And pretty much go from there. So we're going to set off our let's go back to the main camera here. Let's go back to chat. Okay. Have you tested the Mono X? No, I have not gotten the Mono X yet. But I'll be honest, this is a very similar design, but I don't think it's the same printer. At first, I thought it was, but I don't think it is. So we're gonna do two. Okay, so the reason why I'm doing two is you guys may or may not have seen the settings in there, but there's two drop-down menus on the Epax E10. One is for hard and tough resin, which this is just hard resin, it says. And then there's a drop-down for just hard resin. Now, there's a difference of a second between them. So 2 seconds for the hard and tough, and 3 seconds just for the hard. Now, this is just a hard. We did a 3-second exposure. That's what it came out to be. It looks like it's underexposing, but let's try 2 and see what it does. And then we'll go from there. But I'm basically going to leave it at this. So as of right now, usually I share my thoughts on how the printer is, before we leave the live stream of the unboxing. As of right now, I can't really say too much. It's a solid machine. The designs of the injection molded is very, very different, very unique. I don't know if I'm 100% on board with it, but the build plate design I really like. The VAT design I'm kind of so-so for it right now. But yeah, my only big gripe right now, besides, having some issues with printing, and we'll narrow that down. I don't really want to say it's a machine issue because, like I said, we tested all the aspects of it and it looks good. So I don't think it's a machine issue. I think I'm with Hibu on this, and it's a resin issue, which I've had issues with these style of resins before, which is why I ended up starting to go with 3DRS resin, Monicure resin, and resins that just aren't cheap resins, to be quite honest. And when I do go to cheap resins, it's one specific brand, and that's it. And that's eSun, and it's specifically bio resins. So we'll test it out and see some more. But that's pretty much it. My only gripe, like I said, is the little knobs on the side here. I really wish that they were attached to the actual screws, because you can easily lose those inside the vat, and that's no bueno. So that's just my personal thing, I think, but I know a lot of people have expressed that issue as well. So, yeah, I figured there's something with Shitubox where you can't see the menus. So I think I have to do a full screen exposure on those. So I'll have to switch that around for the next stream when I do the E6. And that way you guys can see everything. Because when I do it just for Shitubox, it for some reason does not overlay those extra windows. So that's why I just kind of talk you guys through it and see how it is. And I found that out because of the resin exposure settings video I did. I was like, yeah, I did this, I did it all, I talked through it, and I didn't even watch the video, I just posted it, and somebody's like, I can't see the settings, and I'm like, doh, oh well. So yeah, I got some tweaking to do with that, and I'll get it set up for tomorrow. But yeah, we'll have another another one tomorrow. So. Excuse me here for a second. Sorry. That's work, of course, never ending. Anyway, I'm waiting on my E10 to go with my 2 Mono X. My Mono X seems to stay around 2 and 2.5 seconds for exposure. Always felt high. Yeah, that is a little high. So I would always just tune your resin. That's basically what we're doing right now. We're tuning the resin. We're verifying if the resin is bad or if it's just a tuning issue. So I will know right away once I do these 2 test prints, and I'll go from there. So, but yeah, so we'll have to see. Yeah, maybe the screen of the printer is less powerful than other resin printers and you need more time for exposure. It's possible that might be the issue with this one, but that seems kind of strange because, okay, like I said, there's 2 different settings, one for hard tough and one for hard. Hard tough is 2 seconds, hard is 3 seconds. So, I don't know. I don't think that's the case. I think this actually has a nice setup for LED array. It's definitely not comparable to like my SainSmart Kumitsu, which is like 90 watt LED. Like that thing is insanely ridiculous. And once I get the mono screen on that, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be seeing like 1 second exposure time just because of how ridiculous it is. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I'm going to leave it at that. Like I said, my only small gripe is those knobs on here. As of right now, we still need to do some testing to see what's going on. As we normally do, I'll put it through its paces for about a week, and then I'll come back with a full-on review and let you guys know my thoughts on it. But as of right now, in terms of build quality, it's a great-looking printer. It's super heavy. Again, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but with like all the plasticky parts on it, I expected it to be a little bit lighter. But again, that might be a good thing because of, you know, what they use inside electronic wise might be a little bit better quality. But that's pretty much it for right now, guys. If you got any question, comments, concerns, you can go ahead and put them below or contact me directly. I'm always on Facebook, Discord. You can find me at Akuma Mods or Akuma Max, wherever I may be. And you know, I'm literally in all parts of the internet, so even on Instagram and on TikTok. So you guys can see some videos and posts about that as well. So if you guys are on those platforms, if you're not, hey, that's fine. About the only place that I'm not really religiously on is Twitter. So other than that, pretty much all the other social media places I will be on. So that's pretty much all I got. If you guys like the video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And we'll get some more reviews and more videos out here in the next, you know, weeks and months and hopefully this year. So until next time, guys, happy printing.